Well, it's about time I actually reviewed a dang knife on this channel. It's been a while. I do apologize for that. Been doing a little bit more openings and stuff like that, and getting distracted. But yes, I do want to continue covering these things, and I've been able to give this guy quite a bit of use to report basically everything that I wanted to say about it. As you can see from the thumbnail, this guy is the Artisan Cutlery Arion. Uh, Basically spelled Orion, but with an A at the beginning. So, whatever. This is a Cerberus knives design, and well, there's the little maker's mark there. Interesting that it's basically just one dog head, as Cerberus is essentially a three-headed beast of lore. I would I'm going to refrain from using the term hellhound because I don't really think that it's Judeo-Christianic in origin. It's Greek or Roman or something like that. So yeah, it's a beast of hell technically, but not hell. A little bit more of the other afterlives. None of that's really important. This is a pretty fantastic knife here. This is a White Mountain Knives exclusive piece. This particular variant, at least. They do have other variants, and I do believe the standard variant of it is using S35 VN blade steel. And it's also quite a bit more expensive than this one. This was kind of made down to a cost a little bit, but it was really interesting to me. This is using AR-RPM9 steel. That's Artisan Cutlery's proprietary blade steel. It's a powder metallurgy process, but a budget version of it. It's really, really close to a powder metal version of 9CR18 MOV, which is pretty close to what Crucible would have called S60V many, many years ago in the past, basically in the 80s and 90s. If I remember right, it does wildly predate S30V, and really not in that same ballpark. Chris Reeve didn't really have anything to do with it, but hey, there you go. It does have a pretty good edge retention on there. They claim that it's right around D2 territories, and I would say, yeah, it matches the lackluster D2 that some companies will do, including Artisan slash CJRB, that does an okay job at it. But there are some better companies out there that'll deal with some D2. Benchmade, of course, with the 710, fantastic. I've had a little bit better luck with some Tucson stuff as well, and of course some of the Bowler K110 stuff, which is a name brand version of D2. Anyway, this has a decent amount of edge retention. Basically, if you are looking at any of the cheaper Chinese budget knives that end up using D2, you'll get about the same kind of performance out of that. But this is a little bit tougher steel, not usually super important for a folder, but it does help with some edge deformation or something like that if you're doing something crazy like doing some scraping or something like that. And of course, it's stainless, so that's all sorts of cool. This particular version does have a coating on it. I do not know what the coating is on here. It's not super, super smooth. That makes me mostly think that this is probably a PVD of some sort, but obviously not a DLC. But probably a titanium nitride or some sort of a coating of that ilk. So yeah, decently scratch resistant. You can probably see some scuffs and stuff like that on here. That's mostly because I haven't done a full job of cleaning this off after breaking down a whole bunch of boxes and stuff like that with it. The blade on this thing is a whole lot of fun to use. It is, as you can see, nothing but belly. So yeah, it's great. Basically, wherever along the blade that you want to start your cut, really helps to start biting in there or something like that, rather than if you have a large flat section or something like that, it can take a little bit more force to get something in there. Of course, if you sharpen your knives to have a little bit more bite or toothy edge or something like that, that can help in those particular situations. But you don't have to do that on there, so it's a nice trade-off. I really do appreciate that. This is not a short knife. It's 3.61 inches long. That's 91.7 millimeters for those of y'all in metrically inclined countries, which is most of the world. And it's in a really, really nice and thin package here. This is a nested liner lock inside some micarta here. And it's, yeah, 0.42 of an inch, or 10.7 millimeters. It's quite a bit thinner than a Spyderco Paramilitary 2, which I will do a little bit of comparisons here, just a little bit. But this blade is long, so this isn't an absolutely feather light blade. It's a little over 4 ounces, 4.07 ounces, or 115 grams. That's not bad for it being a 3.6 inch blade. You know, it's falls a little short of that ounce an inch, but that's a really, really hard number to meet for something that's actually has some meat and dexterity on its bones. And the blade stock thickness on here is 3.2 millimeters. So, just a little bit robust, but not super crazy thick. We can see we have a very, very high saber grind on here. So it's a flat grind from about here over. That hole is about the only way that you can open it, but super, super easy for doing a reverse flick. You can slow roll it with the thumb. And if you're comfortable going out with your thumb, then that ends up working. That's my least favorite way to open a knife, I'm not going to lie. But, it's definitely a possibility for those of you who like that. It's got the Artisan Cutlery logo on there. It's strange how they attempt to separate things between CJRB and Artisan, because some Artisan knives are fairly cheap. And that's what they made. I don't know. I'm not the only person who's been a little bit confused by that. And I don't think the company can really explain it either. But yes, we'll just go ahead and move on from there. The micarta on this, really on the rougher side. I do like it quite a bit. You can definitely tell that this is a canvas micarta. Using some green dye in there, but not a huge amount, so it's fairly light. As far as the texture, it's really, really rough. I would kind of give it that dish rag kind of feel to it, which is, it's not a bad thing at all, but something you find a lot more on fixed blades than you do on folders for micarta texture. So it's quite nice. That does add a little bit of extra friction when you're getting it into your pocket here, but hey, check it out. We got flathead screws there. That's also inset into the liner there, or the scale material, and of course it has more than one capture point on there. This does have just a tiny little bit of wiggle, but that's mostly down to the clip and the lightness of the material there. It's not actually damaging anything on the knife, so that's absolutely great to see. We got jimping just where I actually want it for being back here. We do have just a little bit of space up here. Definitely not a finger choil, and as you can see, with a little bit of a smile peeking through there, um, it's not a sharpening choil either. I would have loved if they did just a straight vertical sharpening choil on that rather than having it gradually come out. Aesthetically, I understand why a lot of people do that, but, in practice, I can have some problems, and it does on more knives than it doesn't, unfortunately, but that's just kind of how it goes. Yeah, the balance point on this guy is a little bit further back, basically at the bottom of the little lock bar relief area. Just bad. I do like having a little bit more weight back in the handle, because it gives a little bit more nimbality isn't a word, but it gives you a little bit more agility in the blade, because you have that counterbalance on the other side, kind of like having a pommel on a sword to offset some of that weight of that 3 to 4 foot blade if you're messing around with a hand and a half or a great sword or something like that. Really, really nice design. I absolutely adore this thing, especially if you're looking for something that's pretty large and really thin. Speaking of, let's go ahead and pull out some comparisons. That's the word I'm looking for. We got the Endura here, Endura 4, which is just a little bit larger in both directions. These are big knives, though. And there's the Spyderco PM2. You can definitely see that this guy is thicker, and this isn't a thick knife. It's just right around half an inch thick. So that makes this thing super nice and svelte as far as that particular way. But that does mean that it's flat scale. It's not really contoured in any way, shape, or form. And that definitely helps them keep the price down on these guys. So that's definitely nice. But still, very, very neutral handle. No real complaints going on there. And we do have a matching micarta backspacer on there rather than cheaping out and going G10. Love to see that kind of design detail, just, for my own personal enjoyment. As far as the functionality of the knife, no, that doesn't matter at all. But for the actual execution, that's nice. We got a hidden lanyard pole here. It does just go between the micarta scales on here. There's no steel kind of backing that up. But yeah, unless you got some really, really strong paracord or leather on there and you do some really devastating action, it's going to be all right. Let's see. So I did Le Spyderco. How about if we do some Benchmade here? There we are with the 940 here and the bug out up here. If you guys were curious, I have purchased a Griptilian that kind of gives a little bit more of a larger Benchmade kind of look to it. That's still really iconic and classic. It's been around longer than the 940 has, so it's got some staying power to it. But it's not here yet. I think it'll get here in a week or two, so I can't use it for my comparisons yet, but it'll be there in the future, especially for the larger knives like this. So there's the K-Bar Folding Hunter. And there we go, rat number 1, which is pretty darn close as far as blade, but definitely more sharpened area. So a bit more compact, definitely thinner and all that sort of stuff. It's a pretty darn nice knife. I don't really have a whole lot of negatives to say about it. This thing, this model in particular, I did get even cheaper. It was a return to White Mountain Knives. I think they said it had some sort of a lock stick on there. But I didn't really experience much of it, but I did basically disassemble this guy and give like a single swipe on the flat lock bar interface sort of thing to kind of rough that up and help it to grab onto there in case something like that was going to develop. But it was perfectly fine out of the box. You can see we have a fairly early lockup on this one in particular here. That's fine. I don't really have any worries that it's going to slide out of the way, and it's got a lot of life left in there to wear away at as I play around with it in the future. So yeah, let's go ahead and take a look on the inside of them. Unfortunately, this isn't a super, super new design, so we got T6 hardware basically everywhere but the pivot. It's just kind of how it is. I also would have loved to seen them basically make that notch on the other side to allow you to mount the clip for lefties. That would have been quite nice, since most of them get left out. I'm not left-handed, but like I said a few times in the past, I do like to occasionally carry knives on my offhand, as some people in law enforcement would say. You'll carry that and carry a knife that you can easily get to on the opposite side of your person from your firearm in case someone actually goes to try to free you from your firearm. You can protect yourself and or protect them from getting a hold of it by using another piece on your offhand. So there you go with that. That's Yep, we got black hardware on the inside here. All I really wanted to do... Yeah, let's go ahead and pull them open all the way. This thing is just a little bit difficult to wiggle off there, but there we go. We got ceramic bearings and a nylon cage, and a few more than I would see from some other manufacturers like Tucson or something like that. They're a little bit more dense. Not quite as dense as skiff bearings or something like that, but that's okay. And stupid thick stop pin. This thing is, yeah, definitely designed to take the abuse of thwacking that blade open with a reverse flick or something like that. And we have steel all the way around, so you're not just rubbing up against the micarta there that would kind of wear that out over time. So, yeah, pretty simple and stuff on the inside. This thing already has lubrication, as you can kind of see around the pivot there a little bit. So I don't really feel like I need to end up adding a whole lot more. This kind of looks a little gunked up in the little pocket clip area. Use my little watch bar tool to kind of poke some of that out. That was a little tiny bit of adhesive kind of stuff that they've used to not quite like lock bar or Loctite or something like that, but kind of in that same vein. This one is just a little bit more challenging than some other ones to get everything situated there. We still have that pen over there, but yeah, everything slides together super easy because of the nested liners. So we'll just go ahead and tighten her back up. That is way too tight, but that's perfectly fine for now. I can easily adjust that after I get the other screws all up in the body. Awkward silence. I should probably say something, huh? I don't really have anything on my mind at the moment. So we'll just go ahead and make this a little awkward. Why? Well, I'm a little awkward of a person anyway. Y'all uncomfortable yet? I mean, outside of where it would be otherwise. All right. So yeah, super tight on the pivot there. That's got just a little bit of wiggle. I like no wiggle. Yeah. Yeah, pretty easy to pop this guy open and do some maintenance on him. Would have loved to see T8 hardware on there. But like I said, this is a model that's been out for a couple of years, and that's just now starting to become popular with more and more companies out there. And hope that continues and all that sort of good stuff. But yeah, that's everything I wanted to talk about with this guy. It's a fantastic variant of the knife, but you know, it's also, I suppose, a little bit on the lower end. Like I said, a lot of the other variants of this guy that are also available in more than just one particular retail outlet is a little bit higher end with a S35 VN steel and possibly as a frame lock. Geez, I don't know. I shouldn't end up saying any of that. I don't know. I didn't do apparently enough research on the different variants on this particular guy before I made the video. But either way, this is the White Mountain Knives variant of it. Fairly darn affordable price for a great knife. The only complaint I can really come up with, really with this guy, and I'm kind of sorry I didn't state it a little bit earlier in the video here, but well, it is what it is. I'm at least covering it now. The pocket clip on here, it's a deep carry clip, but it does kind of sit right at an uncomfortable thing. You can see that portion here is kind of coming into right at the cusp of my middle finger's knuckle on there, so it's very apparent. Much more so in that gorilla grip sort of thing there, when you're really squeezing on the handle. So you definitely notice that the pocket clips there. That's just a little bit unfortunate, but it really, really happens a lot, especially when companies with their more budget models will use a standard deep carry clip rather than making something bespoke to the knife itself, which can alleviate a lot of that. But all right. So, as always, I appreciate y'all for watching, and have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. And subscribe.